when it comes to identity, it's like there are things that I am defined by others, things I identify myself as, and it's something that's, I don't know, for the end of the day, like for me, identity is something that's not fixed, and I would like to not define myself solely based on my identities, but I understand that it's something that I'm defined by.
Okay, so I see myself as a whole, but constantly wishing that certain parts of my body were different. And if I could take them away and replace them with some other body part from somebody else, I would.
I knew that my hair was different from most of the people around me, but I never really thought that something was wrong with it until like that moment. But then, I don't know, I didn't really think about it until like 8th grade, when I had some oils in my hair because I needed to keep it moisturized with its texture. And I remember this boy telling me that my hair smelled like something that was dead.
I did not want to be the smelly little Indian girl with braids running around, you know, being different. Because I was at private school with just a bunch of white kids, and it was terrible. Like, I stood out. Like, my family's not Hindu, so that was a huge assumption that was made. My mom had to do like the Hindu like Diwali festival.
Like, there's like these mythologies you believe in about your body of like, oh, you know, you gain weight. The first place you gain weight is like the last place you lose weight or whatever. And so that's how I was like, I thought to see my body in parts, but seeing it as a whole means that like I have to take care of it as a whole and not necessarily try to like target one area of my body. And I see it as a whole now, and it's something that I am wholly striving to be comfortable with.
I feel like even though my body doesn't sort of like embody what a stereotypical Black woman's body is supposed to look like, I feel like there's still this sort of idea that like the Black woman body is like hypersexualized.
And that's from like, you know, just looking at the media and seeing white women everywhere. They totally colonize the media. They're everywhere. And I've definitely compared myself to white women. You know, everything from hair to like just like the size of my waist, that flat stomach, you know, everybody wants that flat stomach, but I'm just never gonna have that. You know what I mean? And then the thigh gap, the skinny legs. What even is that? I don't even know what that is. You know, I'm just like, my body was never built that way, but it's something that I've wanted, especially like, you know, coming from private schools and like having to deal with these white women that all look the same, and you want to look like them. You want to look like them so you can be normal, so you can fit in and like have friends at its simplest form. And so I think when I was able to kind of like get over that in high school, it was super like liberating.
When I initially got weaves, it was because I just like, it's like, oh, like this just looks nicer. And I didn't really like think about the implications of what that meant. As I got older, it was more just like a protective style because it helps my hair grow really fast. But initially it was just sort of like, oh, I want to have like long straight hair that I can like curl in this certain way and like sort of make me look more like white people. So yeah.
I think in my family, although I feel like it's definitely a thing where East African women have small waists and huge butts, my family denies this, and it's actually pretty like fucked up. Where my mom would always like talk about how she was 99 pounds when like she was pregnant with like my older brother, and her first child, and I'm like, that's anorexia, Mom. But she'd always talk about it as if it was like a positive thing.
Having a little bit of extra like love right here, you know, like I'm not white girl skinny. I'm a little thick, and that's something like my mom would constantly comment on because she's a part of like a colonized place, and she was colonized. Her mind is totally colonized, and I'm not a skinny girl. I've never been a skinny girl. And even when I go and talk to her today, she's like, oh, you gained a little bit of weight. I'm like, really, Mom? You know? So there's always like stuff like that. Yeah.
I remember thinking like, oh, if I had lighter skin and like straight hair, then maybe people would like me more.
So the way I confront and resist the male gaze is by dressing the way in which I want to dress at all times, and I'm just not here for the patriarchy. Like, I'm incredibly over men talking over me or like sexually harassing me on the street, but like saying unwanted comments. Like, nowadays I just like yell back at them and I don't care because it's in public, thankfully, and I have no chance of being harmed. And that's like honestly a privilege that I can say that it's never been at nighttime where I've been catcalled and I've been by myself or anything like that. And so, yeah, I just started to just speak up more and do whatever the fuck I want to do and realize that I'm living for myself.
And taking action is something that's a huge part of my life, and I think that's powerful. I think being a woman of color in general is powerful. Like, your presence on this earth is powerful. And then taking that to a step further and being able to empower other women of color is powerful. That's power.
In my height, even though it's only 5'9", I still felt I was so taller than the majority of my own friends. So just being seen as like, I didn't feel dainty, I didn't feel fragile. Not that those are necessarily things that, I mean, I don't know, as a feminist, it's a contradiction, I guess, but it doesn't have to be. I think what it says for me is that I don't want to be multifaceted, that I want to be dainty and fragile sometimes, because I am dainty and fragile, and sometimes I am strong and independent, but that like there is no one emotion or one characteristic that governs me as a person. And I think as a Black woman, there are a lot of negative characteristics that are ascribed to our bodies without our control. And the first fact of like, and even like that of, you know, being seen as Jezebel, being seen as a hypersexualized being and wanting to just take agency of your own sexuality and not judging myself if, you know, if I do enjoy or like do express my sexuality in ways I want to see it. So it definitely is a continuing journey of asserting my own humanity, my own womanhood, and expressing it in the ways that see me as a whole person and not necessarily fragmented and not necessarily empty or dependent upon a man or dependent upon anything, you know. I don't just like, it's still a journey, but I've definitely come a long way from the things that I've personally been socialized into. And I just really look forward to seeing how I can better treat my body as the decades go on.
Speak out about what you feel is wrong and not try and appropriate yourself or like rather like assimilate to the norm. Be different, you know, wear the bindi all the time.